Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own gingerbread house. Stick with us until the end to see how easy it is to decorate and bring your house to life. I'm sure you're going to love this fun Christmas cooking activity. I'm going to show you how to make gingerbread dough, how to use a template to cut out the shapes we need, how to make royal icing to use as a glue to assemble our house, and finally how to decorate it. If you find this video helpful, you can help me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. We've got lots to do, so let's get started. These are the ingredients we need. I'll leave the full recipe for the gingerbread dough and icing in the description below. I'll also leave a link to a PDF on my website where you can find the recipe and gingerbread house templates. We've got the flour, our spices, ginger and cinnamon, baking soda and salt. And we've got some butter. This butter's at room temperature so it's nice and soft. An egg, some brown sugar and some golden syrup. I'm going to put the butter into a big mixing bowl and the sugar and the golden syrup. I'm going to cream these together until they're nice and smooth and pale yellow. Just going to scrape down the sides of my bowl and I'm going to add my egg. I'm going to beat these together again. Now I'm going to add my spices, the ginger and the cinnamon and the salt and the baking soda. I'm going to give these a little mix around and then we can add the flour and mix it in. This will take a little bit of effort, but just hang in there. When it's starting to clump together, you can tip it out onto a board or your bench and knead it together nicely. Now that it's come together as a nice dough, I'm going to cover it in some Glad wrap and refrigerate it for about an hour or so until it's firmed up a bit. Our dough is all nicely chilled and ready for us to start rolling. Here's that PDF I was telling you about with our recipe and our template pieces. We basically need 2 of each of the big pieces, the 2 side walls, 2 end walls and 2 roof pieces, and 3 of the little chimney pieces. I find it's easiest to cut my big piece of dough in half, and then I know that I need to get 1 of each of the big pieces out of each half, and then I can get the chimney pieces out of what's left. Just put this one to the side and start squashing this one down. And put down a little bit of flour, that'll stop it sticking to the bench. Not too much because that will dry out the dough. I'm using a silicone rolling pin. You can use any kind, but I love the feel of this one. It's nicely weighted and easy to roll with my hands like that. Just roll a little bit, then I lift it to make sure it's not sticking to the bench. What we're aiming for is a nice even layer. We don't want it thick on the one side and thin on the other, because that won't bake evenly. So we're just aiming for a nice even layer of our dough throughout. I've got my template here all cut out and ready to go. So I'm going to start with the biggest piece. Just going to put it on there and cut around the edges. carefully lift it. So the dough can tear here, so just go very carefully. Put it onto your baking paper. Sometimes if the edges bend a wee bit, I just like to straighten them up with my knife. The stretching can often happen when the dough's just got a little bit too soft. So if you're having lots of trouble, put it back in the fridge for a little bit and try again in 20 minutes or so. And then we just keep rolling the dough until we've got all our pieces cut out. On the pieces with the windows, you can either cut them out now, or you can put them on your tray and cut around it but leave the piece in. Sometimes when you're baking the gingerbread, the windows can cave in slightly, so by leaving the dough in there, it'll keep them nice and square. Then when they come out of the oven, we just score them again, and once it's cooled, they'll just pop out. So here's our little pieces all ready for the oven. I've got my oven preheated nice and hot, and they'll take about 12 to 15 minutes to bake. You'll definitely know they're ready by the smell, and they'll be nice and golden on top. So let's get them in. Just taken these out the oven. I can see that they're cooked by the nice golden colouring on top, and it smells delicious in here. I'm going to take a wee knife and cut around the windows where we marked them earlier. I'm going to leave these to cool and harden a little before transferring them to a wire rack. Once they've cooled completely, I'm going to pop out the windows, and then we can start assembling our gingerbread house. While our cookies are cooling, we can make some royal icing. The icing acts like a glue, and it can also be used for some decorative touches. Royal icing is also used for a lot of cake decorating and cookie decorating, so it's a useful skill to learn. These are the ingredients that we need. Some icing sugar, an egg white, and a lemon. We need an acid. Lemons have got an acidic quality, and we need some of that to help our icing set. You can also use a white vinegar. I'm going to crack the egg to get our egg white. You can use an egg separator here, or you can break the whole egg into the bowl and use your fingers to scoop out the yolk. Or you can just do it this way. I'm going to beat the egg white until it's stiff, like you would for a meringue. I know this is done now because I can lift it up and it's holding a stiff peak. Now I'm going to start putting in my sifted icing sugar, just a little bit at a time, and mix it in. I like to mix this with a knife. It's got a nice flat blade and the icing doesn't get stuck in the curve of the spoon. We are getting close now. It's not quite holding a peak, so we'll add a little bit more, but we'll just go carefully. It's just making some nice little soft peaks here. So I'm going to add the lemon juice and then just a tiny bit more icing sugar. So there's our royal icing done. It's holding a nice stiff peak, so we can use it now to stick our gingerbread house together. I'm going to make a paper piping bag to put my icing into. If you'd like to see how to do this, I'll leave a link to another video in the description below. You can also use a disposable icing bag or a reusable one. I'm going to spoon a little bit of the icing in, shake it to get it down to the bottom, and close it up. Now we're ready to assemble our gingerbread house. The key is to go slow and be patient. I've chosen a big chopping board to assemble my gingerbread house on. You can choose a platter or something sturdy that will fit the finished product. I've got my piping bag of royal icing and I'm going to cut a decent hole in the top. I'm going to start with the side wall and the end wall. Pipe a strip of icing along here and stick them together. Now I'm going to do the same on the opposite corner. While the corners are drying, let's put together our chimney. Put icing on the bottom side of 2 pieces and put the other piece in the middle. Now we'll put that to one side to dry. Pipe a line of icing along the bottom of the wall to stick it to the board. Then pipe another line of icing up the corner join to strengthen it. Now you can stick the other 2 corners together. Stick it to the board and reinforce the other corners. Now the house is dry, we can put the roof on. It's the same idea as before. Do one piece at a time and hold it in place. Remember to check the sides of the roof to make the overhang even. Now the roof is dried, we can put on the chimney. Put a big blob of icing where you'd like it to go and sit the chimney on. At this point I like to go over all the joins again, tidying them up and making them stronger. We've come to my second favourite part of making a gingerbread house. We are ready to start decorating. I've got a selection of lollies here, and I'm going to use those to define the house by putting bits around the doors and around the windows, along the top, and the rest I'm just going to use to decorate the edges and make it look pretty. I've also got some more of my royal icing in a new piping bag, so I can use that to do some decorative piping. And we've come to my favourite part of the gingerbread house. We're going to let it snow. I've got a little sieve and some icing sugar. I'll put the icing sugar into the sieve and just carefully let it snow. Don't overdo it. So our gingerbread house is all finished. And isn't it a work of art? If you found this video helpful, you can help me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give this a try. Merry Christmas!